Imagine living just a wall away from sheer madness. Milwaukee in the late 80s and early 90s radiated a familiar hum of everyday life, its streets bustling with families, students, and working individuals. They moved freely within their routines, ignorant of the darkness looming in the shadows. The Oxford Apartments, a nondescript brick building, held a myriad of residents, all intertwined in their mundane existence. Among them was Jeffrey Dahmer, a man who appeared just another tenant, casting no remarkable impressions. He was the quiet neighbor, the one who you would greet in passing, as oblivious to the monster behind his closed door as you were to the ticking clock of his unraveling nightmare. Yet lurking within those walls was a malevolence too profound for those passing by to understand. The encapsulated horror began to seep through the faint crevices of familial life, manifesting in inexplicable sensations that would corrode the mundane facade. Residents found themselves grappling with inexplicable odors that lingered in the air, a sickly sweet scent that wafted through hallways. Initially dismissing it as poor cooking, the stench lingered, causing deep-seated unease. And then came the night sounds, discordant thuds mixed with scraping and the unsettling grind of drilling at unholy hours. These noises were a cruel chorus, relentlessly breaking the silence of nocturnal life. They echoed unanswered questions, a distant reminder that some battles are waged in shadows. Pamela Bass was one tenant deeply affected by the sinister happenings around her. Living a few doors down, she recalled that all-encompassing smell, a clenching reminder that something was amiss. As she glanced through her window, she occasionally witnessed Dahmer's friends, lost young men who entered the apartment with youth and vibrance yet vanished like wraiths, leaving only emptiness behind. At that time, the transient nature of youth was easily brushed aside. The comings and goings were a mere footnote against her own chapters of routine. Yet once the veil of horror was lifted and the atrocities unfolded, those fleeting moments transformed into chilling etchings in her memory, shadows of regret for what went unseen, encapsulating a haunting anguish of who she unknowingly shared her life with. The horrific reality strikes a deeply resonant chord. Sometimes we reside closer to danger than we could ever imagine. In our haste to lead our lives, we overlook the subtle signs, dismissing them as mere oddities in the tapestry of existence. The unspeakable atrocities committed behind closed doors remind us that while evil can wear a friendly face, it often lingers quietly, waiting for the unwary to recognize the storm before it unleashes its full wrath. The night of July 22, 1991, marked a pivotal moment when the facade of normalcy was shattered. Tracy Edwards found himself in a terrifying predicament, having escaped from the grasp of his captor in a harrowing ordeal. Filled with dread, he stumbled onto the street, desperate for help. In that moment of fear, he flagged down two police officers, Officers Routh and Miller, sharing an unbelievable tale that conveyed the unspeakable terror he had endured. A trail of chilling details led them directly to apartment 213, signaling that the ordinary facade of the Oxford Apartments was about to be dismantled, revealing a nightmare lurking just behind closed doors. As Officers Routh and Mueller stepped into Dahmer's apartment, they were engulfed in a scene straight out of a horror film. The air was thick with an unimaginable stench, hinting at the horrors contained within. The officers were staggered by what they encountered. Dismembered bodies strewn about, skulls forming a grotesque collection, and disembodied torsos kept cold in the refrigerator. It was a grotesque charnel house concealed within the walls of a mundane living space. As their eyes adjusted, they discovered chilling Polaroid photographs that laid bare the horrific acts committed within those walls. The images documented the macabre, a gruesome timeline of suffering that turned their disbelief into a raw reality, exposing the evil that had festered in plain sight. For the residents living nearby, reality unraveled in an instant. How could the amiable neighbor who exchanged friendly nods in the hallways harbor such unfathomable darkness? The shocking revelation ignited disbelief that mingled with horror as the comforting feeling of community shattered into pieces. They had unknowingly shared their lives with an individual responsible for heinous acts, the quiet moments marred by the realization of their grave ignorance. Fear replaced familiarity, as if a thick fog of dread had seeped into their homes. For Pamela Bass, the revelation was particularly jarring. The signs had always been there, hidden behind everyday life. The queasy smells, the sense of something amiss, everything clicked into place with terrifying clarity. Living alongside such profound evil without a hint of its existence would haunt her thoughts, a perpetual reminder of the darkness that can lie just beyond an innocent smile. In every tragic tale of darkness, the focus often drifts toward the perpetrator, but it is crucial to remember the real victims, the 17 young men whose illustrious futures were snuffed out, leaving behind a vacuum of sorrow. Each of these souls, Stephen Hicks, Jamie Dockstader, Errol Lindsay, Tony Hughes, Conorak Synthesomphone, was more than just a name on a list. They were vibrant with their own ambitions, dreams, and loved ones, all cruelly erased within the grim confines of that nondescript apartment. The agony experienced by their families is an unspeakable burden. Imagine a mother or a father grappling with the unbearable weight of loss, struggling to comprehend the brutal fate that befell their children just a stone's throw away. The horror becomes not only a personal tragedy, but echoes through the neighborhood, rippling through the lives of countless others, forever tainting the community's spirit with grief and confusion. Yet the tragedy does not end with the victims. It extends into the tragic failures of the very systems meant to protect the vulnerable. The haunting chronicle of Conorak Synthesomphone reveals the gut-wrenching disregard shown by authorities. A mere 14 years old when he was spotted gravely injured, his desperate cries fell on deaf ears as he was returned to the predator, emblematic of a system that failed him utterly. This glaring oversight underscores the urgent need to remain vigilant against the vulnerabilities that lurk among us. Community members who sensed something amiss found their warnings cast aside, compelling us to critically scrutinize the systemic biases that enabled the horrific events to transpire unnoticed. This harrowing example speaks volumes of the responsibility institutions hold in safeguarding every member of society, especially those who are most at risk. When systems falter, it leads to unimaginable devastation that echoes far beyond a singular event. The narrative surrounding Jeffrey Dahmer and his unsuspecting neighbors serves as a chilling reminder that evil can manifest right next door, often concealed behind a mask of normalcy. By remaining aloof, society neglects the signs and symbols of distress that might be all too evident. His story is not just about violence. It's about the collective amnesia that can shroud horrific truths in silence. As we reflect upon these lost lives, it is vital to imbue their memories with dignity, urging ourselves to foster a community where vigilance and compassion reign supreme. The saga of the Oxford Apartments stands as a grim testament to the shadows lurking within human nature and a clarion call to safeguard the innocents among us.